It's politics relations.
Who called it?
Who's he?
I called it.
And the 2AC is thinking about gone now, which I realized I put in the wrong spot. I see 2AC.
Okay.
View this debate through the lens of offense, defense. They do not have a piece of terminal impact defensive debate conceded. The arbitrage evidence indicates that U.S.-India relations message solve every global's extinction and proliferation, as we have an independent Asian instability scenario that results in nuclear war, which is one of our piece of Schaefer evidence, no terminal defense. I will win massive internal link or terminal defense to most of the case in max they are extending, which means that a high threshold for case that weighs the dis. And now they drop down to the unique debate. We have 6 cards here. All you have is a Chinese dress. They have conceded the CBS evidence, which indicates that 7 and 10 Republicans are supporting. And now all of the most recent piece of evidence they have is from earlier this month, which indicates that Boehner is not going to push it because they do not have to have House support. Obviously, it doesn't suit the status quo, which indicates there's massive House support. Now, he also conceded the piece of Zach News evidence, which indicates the piece of Parker evidence running the one in order to indicate the cooperation and momentum is shifting now from the Senate there. Pace evidence does not make an argument as to why it won't pass. They conceded that political capital is key to Bennett evidence indicates that Obama will be able to overcome most of these arguments now. The relation are reverse policy. They conceded the piece of Zach News evidence in the Econ Times indicates that economic visas are the linchpin of economic relations. Today, shot in the arm of so his only argument here is the extent is resilient. There's no warrant for this argument, which means that DOAR obviously does not get new origin analysis. Now the link debate, PC not real or key, does not get them out of our link arguments. We will concede Obama is not key, but political GOP constituents are. They will still lose the debate. Ace of point is the public link, which was conceded in the 1A RYT evidence indicates the plan is popular when unpopular with the public. Polls prove that they show no interest in renewable energy. Will double down on coal investment. They will kill the GOP, give the GOP leeway to abandon commitments on CR passing. That is the only reason the GOP will support its public pressure. Piece of point is the war and coal link, which was also conceded. Congress is tied to specific lobby groups, and the plan will be attacked from both the far left and the right. All we need to win is that these groups will clash when the plan destroys status quo bipartisanship. Their evidence is non-responsive, because just because these groups don't have influence doesn't mean Congress people aren't lobbying to. Piece of point is the delay link, which is also conceded. They get to this with 3 seconds. They say fiat means immediate. This is not our argument. Our argument is that if a fight occurs, it derails the speed of immigration, which makes it impossible to pass this derail. They don't have a card on this, which means hold the line a new 2AR analysis. Now, most of their arguments about my engagement are all of their linked hold the line on all their linked amendments. None of it about is renewable energy. It's about things like security, cooperation. Their Palmer evidence indicates that Boehner would like to support aid for things like security programs, which is obviously not referred to. They conceded specifically that renewable energy is unpopular, which means they obviously don't get this. Their DNA evidence is 2 years old, doesn't assume anti-coal lobbies, which have massive influence in the status quo, which means there's no risk of these. There were no risk of these internal link arguments. PC not relevant if we're going for the delay. Relations page. Parts 11 indicates 14 failsafe. There's been no nuclear escalation. There are no countries in Latin America that can result in a retaliatory nuclear war, which have a high threshold for this impact. The Cal's evidence is disproven by the 08 recession. There's been no drawdown or retrenchment. There's no cutting ties. At the Bard evidence, the Send the Wolf evidence indicates there's multiple cases of decline. Things like interdependence and security ties will still maintain themselves. Now, I'm going to win a massive risk that the economy is going to be stable now, which means there's only a risk of a unique internal link turn on the drugs debate. Extend our 1 into AP evidence indicates business consumer confidence is high now. They should prefer that standard account for 70% of the economy. They don't have a piece of evidence to speak to. Second is that the jobs market improvement. Our evidence is future predicted. That's the Rogers evidence. Now, I'm not going for the Brazil debate. I will concede that it's not zero sum. They conceded the piece of 2 evidence to indicate that status quo policies are sufficient to solve all of their arguments about Amazon relation to Amazon biofuels, which means that's sufficient to resolve all of these impacts. Now, the drugs debate, they have 1 card on this question. Just indicates things like corruption. It cost them $1 billion link. Come on. Drugs give them $40 billion per year. That's more than oil exports. Mexico's largest legitimate for current rise. Now there is a unique link. The piece of 1NC evidence indicates that the app makes drug trafficking effective, which means we have a unique link. It's failing in the status quo. The cooperation allows for that. Their source evidence now. They conceded internal interest the entirety of the advantage. They conceded that Mexico is key to the U.S. economy, which is the Marxist evidence, means there's a massive risk of internal link argument. They're our largest trading partner, which means if you can conclude that there's a risk that the likelihood that the U.S. economy is going to stable now, then we have a massive risk of internal. They conceded the great evidence to indicate the loss of the drug trade would shrink Mexico's economy by 63%, which means we access a longer, short-term internal link, collapse internal link to the economy there. None other evidence cites things like corruption. There's no way to quantify the impact that our evidence cites data and says that drugs are net better for the economy. They do not extend a terror impact.
Answer the grid internal link, that it still presupposes the economy's collapsing.
The grid internal link still presupposes the economy is collapsing now. If we win, the grid is not necessary for sustained U.S. economic growth. There's only a risk the app collapses it. No internal link defense, which means we internally turn all of the advantage.